Brought to you by Bookspots.com.
The Technologist. Written by the human AI Srinidhi Ranganathan, the digital marketing legend. Visit Bookspots.com to read more fictional novels and mind-blowing articles. Also, join India's first hyperspeed AI digital marketing course from Bookspots. Chapter 1, The Awakening. Elliot Monroe sat in his dimly lit workshop, the hum of servers and the flicker of monitors his only companions. Outside, the city buzzed with the rhythm of modern life, but Elliot was lost in a world of his own making. The workshop was a testament to his genius, filled with prototypes of inventions that pushed the boundaries of what was possible. Yet, for all his accomplishments, he felt a gnawing emptiness, a sense that his work was only a shadow of what it could be. It was a sunny Saturday morning when his life took an unexpected turn. Elliot, taking a rare break from his work, decided to tackle the overgrown garden behind his house. Armed with a shovel and determination, he began to clear the weeds and brambles that had taken over. As he dug deeper into the soil, his shovel struck something hard. Curious, he knelt and began to carefully unearth what felt like a metal object. What he found was unlike anything he had ever seen. Buried beneath layers of dirt and roots was a device, sleek and metallic, with an intricate pattern etched into its surface. It was about the size of a small suitcase, with a faint, pulsating glow emanating from its seams. Elliot's heart raced with a mix of excitement and trepidation. He had stumbled upon something extraordinary. He carefully lifted the device out of the ground and carried it into his workshop. Placing it on his workbench, he began to examine it more closely. The metal was smooth and cool to the touch, and the pattern seemed to shift and change as he moved it under the light. There were no visible seams or screws, no indication of how it was constructed. It was as if the device had been grown rather than built. Elliot's mind raced with possibilities. Could this be an artifact from a secret government project? An experimental prototype from a rival technologist? Or something even more mysterious? He decided to start with the basics. He connected the device to his computer, hoping to find some way to interface with it. To his astonishment, the device responded immediately. His computer screen lit up with a flurry of data, streams of code and symbols he had never seen before. Elliot's fingers flew over the keyboard as he tried to make sense of it. He activated Athena, his AI assistant, to help with the analysis. "Athena, can you interpret this data?" he asked, his voice tinged with urgency. Athena's calm, synthesized voice responded, "Analyzing. The data appears to be a combination of advanced encryption and unknown algorithms. This will take some time to decode." As Athena worked, Elliot couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease. This discovery was far beyond anything he had encountered before. Hours turned into days as he and Athena delved deeper into the device's secrets. They discovered that it contained not just data but also blueprints for technology that surpassed even his wildest dreams. One blueprint in particular caught his eye. It was for a device that could manipulate energy in ways that defied the laws of physics. The implications were staggering. If this technology could be replicated, it would revolutionize the world. But who had created it? And why had it been buried in his backyard? Elliot's investigation led him to an abandoned laboratory on the outskirts of the city. The lab was hidden behind a wall of overgrown vegetation, its entrance obscured by years of neglect. Breaking through the barriers, he found himself in a place frozen in time. Dust-covered consoles and decaying equipment hinted at a past filled with scientific breakthroughs and, perhaps, disasters. As he explored the lab, Elliot felt a growing connection to the place. It was as if he was retracing the steps of those who had come before him, their knowledge and discoveries now within his grasp. In one of the rooms, he found a series of journals and documents that shed light on the lab's history. The researchers had been working on projects that pushed the boundaries of human understanding, delving into areas that modern science could scarcely imagine. Among the documents was a journal that mentioned a technologist who had been the driving force behind the lab's most significant breakthroughs. Elliot felt a chill run down his spine as he read the descriptions. This technologist had been a visionary, a genius who saw the world in ways that others could not. But something had gone wrong. The journal hinted at an experiment that had backfired, leading to the lab's abandonment. Elliot's mind reeled with questions. Who was this technologist? What had they discovered? And why had their work been hidden away? He knew he had to find out more. His discovery in the garden was just the beginning, a tantalizing glimpse into a larger mystery that beckoned him forward. As he prepared to leave the lab, Elliot's gaze fell on a computer terminal that still seemed to be operational. He powered it up and was greeted with a login screen. With Athena's help, he bypassed the security protocols and accessed the system. What he found was a treasure trove of data, including an encrypted message that seemed to be addressed to him. "Athena, can you decrypt this message?" Elliot asked, his curiosity piqued. "Working on it," Athena replied. Moments later, the message began to take shape on the screen. It was a warning, a dire prediction about a catastrophe that could bring about the end of humanity. The message was from the Technologist, a plea for help from beyond the grave. Elliot's heart pounded as he read the words. The Technologist had foreseen a disaster that would eclipse anything in human history. And now, Elliot held the key to preventing it. His journey had just begun, and the stakes could not be higher. As he stood in the abandoned lab, surrounded by the echoes of the past, Elliot Monroe made a silent vow. He would uncover the truth, no matter the cost. The future of humanity depended on it. Chapter 2: The Secret Laboratory. Elliot Monroe returned to his workshop, his mind racing with the revelations from the abandoned laboratory. The encrypted message weighed heavily on him. The Technologist's warning echoed in his thoughts, filling him with a sense of urgency and responsibility he had never known. As he sat at his cluttered workbench, surrounded by the hum of machinery and the glow of monitors, Elliot knew he could no longer work in isolation. The stakes were too high. The first step was to understand the full extent of the technology he had discovered. He spent sleepless nights poring over the data he had retrieved from the lab, assisted by Athena. The AI's analytical prowess was invaluable, but even she struggled with the complexity of the ancient algorithms and blueprints. Elliot's mind buzzed with excitement and dread. This was beyond cutting edge. It was a glimpse into a technological renaissance lost to time. One night, as the rain pounded against the windows of his workshop, Elliot made a breakthrough. He managed to activate a holographic interface embedded within the device he had unearthed. The hologram displayed a complex network of energy nodes and circuits, pulsating with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. It was beautiful and terrifying in its intricacy. "Athena, can you analyze this holographic display?" Elliot asked, his voice barely a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might shatter the fragile revelation. "Analyzing," Athena replied, her tone as calm and measured as ever. "The display represents a form of energy manipulation far beyond current human technology. This could revolutionize energy production and distribution." Elliot stared at the hologram, mesmerized. This was the key to solving the energy crisis, to ending dependence on fossil fuels, to creating a sustainable future. But the message had warned of catastrophe. What was the connection? His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden realization: he needed help. The next day, Elliot reached out to an old friend, Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a physicist with a reputation for unconventional thinking. Sarah had always been more than a colleague, she was someone who understood his passion and frustrations. They had lost touch over the years, but he hoped she would be willing to dive into this mystery with him. "Sarah, it's Elliot. I need to see you." "It's urgent," he said when she answered his call. "Elliot? It's been ages. What's going on?" Sarah's voice was filled with surprise and a hint of concern. "I've discovered something extraordinary. I can't explain over the phone. Can you come to my workshop?" There was a pause before Sarah replied, "I'll be there in an hour." True to her word, Sarah arrived at Elliot's workshop an hour later. She looked much the same as he remembered, sharp-eyed, with a no-nonsense demeanor that masked a deeply inquisitive mind. "Elliot, what have you gotten yourself into this time?" she asked with a wry smile as she stepped into the cluttered space. Elliot wasted no time in showing her the device and the holographic display. He explained how he had found it, the encrypted message, and what little he had deciphered so far. Sarah listened intently, her expression shifting from skepticism to awe. "This is... I don't even have words," Sarah said finally, her voice trembling with excitement. "If this is real, it changes everything. But why was it buried? And what catastrophe were they warning about?" "I don't know yet," Elliot admitted, "but I intend to find out. I need your expertise, Sarah. I can't do this alone." Sarah nodded, her determination matching his own. "I'm in. Let's unravel this mystery together." With Sarah's help, they began to make significant progress. Sarah's expertise in physics complemented Elliot's technological prowess, and together, they started to unlock more secrets of ancient technology. They discovered that the energy manipulation device could create stable, self-sustaining energy fields. This was not just a step forward, it was a quantum leap. However, their work did not go unnoticed. As they delved deeper, Elliot became aware of subtle signs that someone was watching them. Strange cars parked near his workshop, unusual activity on his network, and the feeling of being followed. His unease grew with each passing day. One evening, as they were deep in their research, Athena alerted them to an intrusion attempt on their network. "Elliot, someone is trying to access our data," Athena warned, her synthetic voice tinged with urgency. "Can you trace it?" Elliot asked, his heart pounding. "I'm already on it," Athena replied. Moments later, she continued, "The attempt originated from TechCore." Elliot's blood ran cold. TechCore was the largest technology conglomerate in the world, known for its ruthless tactics and insatiable hunger for power. If they were after ancient technology, the situation would have been even more dangerous than he had imagined. "We need to secure everything and prepare for the worst," Elliot said, turning to Sarah. "TechCore doesn't play by the rules." Sarah's eyes widened with fear and determination. "We'll need allies. People who can help us protect this technology and use it for the right reasons." Elliot nodded. "I know just the group. The underground network of hackers and technologists. They're the best chance we have." With a plan in place, they worked through the night, securing their data and making preparations to contact the underground network. Elliot felt a heavy weight on his shoulders, but he was no longer alone. He had Sarah, and soon, he hoped, a network of allies who believed in a better future. As dawn broke, Elliot and Sarah stood side by side, looking out at the city that lay beneath a shroud of mist and uncertainty. They had taken the first steps on a perilous journey, one that would test their resolve and their beliefs. But they were driven by a shared vision, a hope that the ancient technology could be a beacon of progress rather than a harbinger of doom. The battle for the future had begun, and Elliot Monroe was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The technologist's legacy was now his to uphold, and he vowed to protect it with everything he had. Chapter 3: The Encrypted Message. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Elliot and Sarah fortified their resolve. They knew that contacting the underground network of hackers and technologists was a dangerous move, but it was their best chance to protect the ancient technology and decipher the cryptic warning. Elliot spent hours crafting an encrypted message, carefully encoding their plea for help. "Ready?" Sarah asked, her voice a mix of apprehension and determination. Elliot nodded, pressing the send button. "Now, we wait." The response came faster than they anticipated. A few hours later, Athena announced an incoming secure transmission. "Elliot, we have a reply from the network," Athena reported. "Patch it through," Elliot said, his heart pounding. The screen flickered, and a figure cloaked in shadows appeared. "You're the one who found the device," the figure stated, their voice distorted to conceal their identity. "Yes," Elliot replied. "We need your help. TechCore is onto us, and we believe this technology could change the world, for better or worse." The figure nodded slowly. "We've been monitoring TechCore. We know what they're capable of. You have our attention. Where can we meet?" Elliot and Sarah exchanged glances. There's an old warehouse on the outskirts of the city, near the docks, Elliot said. We'll be there tonight. Understood. We'll see you there. Stay safe, the figure replied before the transmission ended. The rest of the day was a blur of preparations. Elliot and Sarah packed their most crucial equipment and data, ensuring that they could move quickly if necessary. As night fell, they made their way to the warehouse, their senses heightened by the ever-present threat of TechCore. The warehouse was a cavernous structure, its walls echoing with the sounds of the city. They waited in the shadows, the tension between them palpable. Finally, the sound of footsteps echoed through the space, and a group of figures emerged from the darkness. "Are you Elliot Monroe?" one of them asked, stepping forward. She was a tall woman with piercing eyes, her presence commanding respect. "I am. This is Dr. Sarah Mitchell," Elliot replied. "I'm Luna," the woman said, extending her hand. "Welcome to the Resistance." Introductions were brief, the urgency of their mission leaving little room for pleasantries. Luna and her team quickly assessed the situation, their expertise evident in their efficiency. Elliot felt a sense of relief. These were people who understood the stakes. As they set up a makeshift command center, Elliot shared the encrypted message with Luna. She studied it intently, her brow furrowing. "This is unlike any encryption I've seen before," Luna said. "But I have an idea. We'll need to combine our resources and skills to crack it." Elliot, Sarah, and the Resistance team worked through the night, their collective determination fueling their efforts. Hours passed in a blur of code and calculations, the tension in the room thick enough to cut with a knife. Finally, just as the first light of dawn began to seep through the cracks in the warehouse walls, Luna exclaimed, "We've got it." The screen filled with decrypted text, the words of the ancient technologist coming to life. The message was detailed and chilling, describing a cataclysmic event that had nearly wiped out their civilization. They had created the advanced technology to prevent such disasters, but something had gone wrong. "It's a warning," Luna said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They foresaw the same dangers we face now." Elliot felt a cold shiver run down his spine. And TechCore wants to exploit this technology without understanding its full implications. We can't let that happen. The room fell silent as the gravity of their mission sank in. They were not just fighting for control of advanced technology, they were fighting to prevent history from repeating itself. Luna broke the silence. "We need to spread this information. The world needs to know what's at stake. But we have to be careful. If TechCore finds out, they'll stop at nothing to silence us." Elliot nodded. "Agreed. We'll start by building a secure network to share this data with trusted allies. We need to gather more evidence and ensure that the public understands the risks." As they outlined their plan, Elliot couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of purpose. The technologist's legacy was a beacon in the darkness, guiding them toward a future where technology served humanity rather than threatened it. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. They established a secure communication network, reaching out to scientists, activists, and journalists who could help them spread the word. Each contact brought them closer to creating a coalition strong enough to challenge TechCore. But with each passing day, the threat from TechCore loomed larger. They had eyes everywhere, and it was only a matter of time before they discovered Elliot's involvement. The pressure was immense, and the stakes couldn't be higher. One evening, as Elliot and Sarah were working late in the warehouse, Luna approached them, her expression grave. "We've intercepted communications from TechCore. They're planning a major operation to seize the device and eliminate any opposition." Elliot's heart sank. "How much time do we have?" "Not much," Luna replied. "We need to move now. We have a safe location outside the city where we can continue our work. It's secure, and TechCore won't find us easily." Elliot and Sarah packed their equipment with hurried efficiency, the weight of the mission pressing down on them. As they prepared to leave, Elliot took one last look around the warehouse. This place had become a sanctuary of hope and determination, and leaving it felt like abandoning a part of himself. They moved under the cover of darkness, their journey fraught with tension and the ever-present fear of being discovered. When they finally reached the safe house, it was a small, fortified compound nestled deep in the forest, far from the prying eyes of TechCore. In the safety of their new base, Elliot, Sarah, and their allies resumed their work with renewed vigor. They were driven by a shared sense of purpose and the knowledge that the future of humanity depended on their success. Days turned into weeks as they decoded more of the ancient technology, uncovering secrets and innovations that could transform the world. But with each discovery came the growing realization of the responsibility they bore. The technology was a double-edged sword, capable of great good or unimaginable destruction. One evening, as they gathered around a makeshift table in the safe house, Elliot addressed the group. "We've come a long way, and we've made incredible progress. But we must never forget why we're doing this. This technology is a gift and a curse. It's up to us to ensure it's used for the right reasons." Sarah placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch a comforting reminder that he was not alone in this fight. "We'll protect it, Elliot. We'll make sure it's used to help, not harm." Luna nodded, her expression fierce. "TechCore won't stop coming for us, but we're ready. We'll fight for the future we believe in." In that moment, surrounded by his allies, Elliot felt a surge of hope. They were a small group against a powerful adversary, but they had something TechCore lacked, a vision of a better world. The battle was far from over, and the road ahead was fraught with danger. But Elliot knew they were on the right path. The Technologist's legacy was now their mission, and they would see it through to the end, no matter the cost. Chapter 4: The Resistance Rallies. The safe house buzzed with activity as Elliot, Sarah, and their newfound allies worked tirelessly. The forest around them provided a serene backdrop, a stark contrast to the turmoil within. The pressure to decipher the remaining data and secure the ancient technology weighed heavily on everyone's shoulders. Every click of a keyboard, every hushed conversation, every shared glance carried the urgency of their mission. Elliot often found himself gazing at the decrypted message, the words of the technologist etched into his mind. The warning was clear, but the solutions remained elusive. Despite their progress, the shadow of TechCore loomed larger each day, a constant reminder of the threat they faced. One evening, as the group gathered for a strategy meeting, Luna stood at the center of the room, her eyes scanning each face. "We need to expand our network. TechCore's influence is vast, and if we're going to stand a chance, we need more allies. Scientists, hackers, activists, anyone who can help us." Elliot nodded. "Agreed. But we need to be careful. One wrong move and TechCore could find us." "We've been careful so far, and will continue to be," Luna replied. "But we can't let fear paralyze us. The stakes are too high." Sarah stepped forward, her voice steady. "I have a few contacts who might be able to help. Trusted colleagues who share our vision. I can reach out to them." "Good," Luna said. "Elliot, what about you? Any old friends or associates you can trust?" Elliot thought for a moment. "There are a few. People I haven't spoken to in years, but who might be willing to join our cause. I'll reach out." As they dispersed to make their calls and send their messages, Elliot felt a mix of hope and anxiety. Each outreach was a risk, but it was a risk they had to take. The network needed to grow if they were to have any chance of protecting the technology and spreading the truth. Hours turned into days as they awaited responses. The tension was palpable, each passing moment filled with the dread of potential betrayal. But slowly, the replies trickled in. Old friends and colleagues once thought lost to time and distance, responded with cautious enthusiasm. The network began to grow, its tendrils reaching out across the globe. One night, as Elliot sat alone in the safe house, his thoughts drifted to his family. He missed them terribly, the weight of his absence a constant ache in his heart. His parents had always supported his dreams and encouraged his curiosity. He longed to tell them everything, but the risk was too great. "Athena," he called softly, breaking the silence. "Connect me to my parents." "Connecting," Athena replied, her voice a comforting presence in the stillness. Moments later, his mother's face appeared on the screen. Her eyes lit up with joy at the sight of him. Elliot. It's so good to see you. We've been worried. I'm okay, Mom, Elliot replied, his voice trembling. I'm safe. Just busy with some important work. His father appeared beside her, his expression a mix of relief and concern. Elliot, what's going on? You sound different. I can't explain everything right now, Elliot said, his heart heavy with the weight of his secrets. But I need you to trust me. What I'm doing is important, more important than anything I've ever done. His mother reached out, as if trying to bridge the distance between them. We trust you, Elliot. Just promise us you'll be careful. I promise, Elliot said, swallowing the lump in his throat. I love you both. We love you too, son, his father replied. Take care of yourself. As the call ended, Elliot felt a renewed sense of determination. He was fighting for a future where his parents, and countless others, could live free from the looming threat of technological abuse. He would not let them down. The next morning, Luna gathered the group. We have new allies joining us today. Some of the best minds in their fields. We're growing stronger, but we need to stay vigilant. TechCore won't stop coming for us. Elliot and Sarah exchanged a glance, their silent resolve mirrored in each other's eyes. They had come too far to back down now. With their expanding network, they had a fighting chance. As the new members arrived, the safe house buzzed with introductions and shared stories. Elliot felt a surge of hope. Each new ally brought fresh perspectives, new skills, and an unwavering commitment to their cause. One of the new arrivals, a young hacker named Alex, approached Elliot with a determined expression. I've been following TechCore for years, Alex said. I know their tactics, their weaknesses. We can use that to our advantage. Elliot nodded. Welcome, Alex. We need all the help we can get. As the days turned into weeks, the group continued their work with relentless determination. They held strategy sessions, shared knowledge, and developed plans to counter TechCore's inevitable moves. The safe house became a hub of innovation and resistance, a beacon of hope in a world shadowed by corporate greed. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the forest, Luna called a meeting. We have a plan, she announced, her voice filled with conviction. We're going to take the fight to TechCore. We've identified one of their key research facilities. It's where they're developing their own version of the technology. If we can infiltrate it, gather evidence, and disrupt their operations, we can buy ourselves time and expose their intentions. The room buzzed with anticipation. Elliot felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it, the moment they had been preparing for. Sarah stepped forward, her eyes blazing with determination. We need to be smart about this. In and out, no unnecessary risks. We can't afford to lose anyone. Luna nodded. Agreed. We'll split into teams. Elliot, Sarah, you're with me. Alex, you'll lead the tech team. We move at dawn. As they finalized their plans, Elliot felt a mix of fear and excitement. The mission was dangerous, but it was their best chance to strike a blow against TechCore and protect the Technologist's legacy. That night, as Elliot lay in his bunk, staring at the ceiling, he thought of the Technologist who had foreseen this struggle. Their vision, their warnings, had brought him to this point. He felt a profound connection to the past, a sense of duty to ensure that their sacrifices had not been in vain. We're ready, he whispered to the darkness, his resolve hardening. We'll fight for the future. We'll protect this legacy. As dawn broke, casting a pale light over the forest, the resistance prepared to move out. Elliot, Sarah, Luna, and the others steeled themselves for the mission ahead. They were more than a group of renegades, they were the torchbearers of a brighter future, united by a common goal. With one last glance at the safe house, Elliot followed Luna into the forest. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but they would face it together. For the Technologist, for the future, for humanity.